Hey folks, it's Baltmatrix. Today we're taking a look at TTGS09 Transformers Generation Selects Super Megatron! Flight stand not included. The figures box is actually packaged in this sleeve when you pull it right out of the packaging, and the sleeve is nice, but the figure is so much nicer. The figure is packaged in this jet mode, and I'm using the word jet mode very loosely, but it is quite nice. I love this overall look. The jet mode is a redo of the Transformers Titans Returns Galvatron jet mode, and this whole figure is a heavily retooled version of that. There are the feet sticking off at the bottom with the figure's treads there at the top. That's my only real hatred for this mode. I wish those treads could even fold in a way so that they acted as, tail wings. But the overall aesthetic of the jet mode works really well. Underneath, the figure doesn't really have much in terms of a landing gear, except for this little protrusion right here, which is the rear treads in tank mode. Yes, this has a tank mode, and it's real dumb. More on that in a minute. Yeah, I would love to have seen this figure with the legs turned around a little bit, just as a change, just to see what that would look like. And it works a little better, not much better, but at least it's got wheels on the bottom. It's just missing something back here to tie the whole flight mode together. My favorite part of this mode has to be the front with the cockpit all the way back here, and then the giant freaking cannon here in the front. I just love jets or ships that turn into or are giant flying guns. It's just something I enjoy. Transformation into tank mode is nothing short of rather simple. We've already done the first step in twisting the legs around. Then we can come to the rear wings, fold them down and up, and flip them in. Do the same thing on the other side. Take the little struts here and fold them down and in. Take the entire front barrel and lift it up and flip it over. Now, you can leave the tip like this, but according to the directions, you're supposed to open it up, like so. Reach inside and pop open this section. Turn the whole thing around and flip out this triple barrel cannon like that. Close it up and then reattach it like so. Come on, reattach, dang you. I had these pointing the wrong way. And then the turret is supposed to sit up there, and then we can take the legs and split them open and then just gently persuade them to come up here. And the inside of the kneecaps, which is right there, will peg onto these little pegs right here. Of the two alternate modes, the tank mode is by far the weakest. It just looks silly. There's nothing filling in the center of the tank mode, and I appreciate the effort, let's put it that way. I do appreciate the effort. I just don't think the execution is the best. It's a tank-ish mode, we will say. Turret does spin around, but it has a tendency to come undone way too easily, but it's not that big a deal. Just be careful when spinning the turret. I do appreciate that the actual barrel has some lift and can go point down a little bit. It's fine. It's not the best. It's rather silly, but it's fine. One thing I did mess up with the transformation is these bits do peg into place a little bit better than I have it. So you can get a little bit more flush setting of the turret there. Again, tank mode's fine. Transformation into robot mode is fairly simple. First, remove the turret completely and put it off to the side. Then unpeg the legs from the arms and flip out the knees until they snap into place. Flip down the feet, take the treads and fold them into the inside of the back of the legs, and then straighten the legs out, like so, and stand the figure up. Next, flip the little tread section down for the chest, fold the chest down, turn it 180 degrees, flip up Megatron's head, close the chest, flip down the forearms, and flip out the fists that are way harder to flip out than you might think. These are plastic ratchets, and they are insanely tight. I feel like I'm ripping my fingernails off. They are that tight, especially if you try to do it from the peg here. I found getting your fingernail into the little section just above the knuckles and then folding out is a lot easier. Then come to the backpack and fold these sections, or these wings that are out in vehicle mode, down and flip them up to form the shoulders. And we're just about done. The last thing to do for the robot mode is to return the turret back to its original form. And that is just unpegging everything and then folding everything back into his turret and then putting that onto his forearm, or in this case, pegging it in to the upper arm like that. This Megatron that we end up with is super good looking and a very nice rendition of Super Megatron from those original Japanese comic books. Head sculpt is equally incredibly well done and is much more like a futuristic Japanese take on Megatron as opposed to, the Megatrons that we have been getting, especially in Earthrise. Height-wise, this Megatron is just a bit bigger than the current Voyager-class series, and a full half-head taller than Leader-class Optimus Prime. Now, this is just my preferred way of displaying him. According to the directions, you are supposed to put these shoulder fins out, but I like them folded back for this version of the Megatron. There is another Ultra Megatron version that I'll show you in just a moment, where you deploy this, the wings, and a couple of other things. The figure sports a very minimal backpack, and everything folds up nicely and doesn't affect the posability at all until you deploy the wings, that is. The only real issue I have with this mode is I would prefer that the cannon sat on his forearm as opposed to his upper bicep, or outside of his upper arm. That's just a personal thing. I think it just makes the figure a little bit weird and unwieldy, and the proportions are a little bit off, but the cannon is just so freaking big that if it was actually plugged into the forearm, it'd be sticking out even farther, and I'm not sure he'd be able to stand. Megatron's got a lot of great posability. Ball joint in the head, swivels and hinges, and swivels and hinges in the arms, swivel at the torso, hinges, swivels, and ratchets in the hips and legs and feet. He doesn't have the same amount of range as some of the other Siege figures, but it's good enough. Though I do wish the feet came out a little bit and could turn more to the side, though there is some ankle articulation, which helps with posability immensely. Alright, on to his final mode, and that involves folding out the shoulder antenna. I guess it gets great reception using them. Turning the figure around and folding out the wings fully so he can, fly and stuff. Coming down to the chest, opening up, flipping it around 180 degrees, and then folding it back up because reasons. And then finally, grab his helmet and his face, flip it out. And this is by far the hardest part of the transformation, is getting your finger in here and pushing that face so it turns around 180 degrees and reveals the super evil face of when he combines with whatever that giant monster ball is in space. Finally, come to the cannon, open it up, flip it open again, and then this time we will fully remove the triple barrel cannon, which is just on a peg. So, pull that out, close it up, close this section down, and then this section will attach to his arm, and this will get pegged in onto his shoulder. I lied. The hardest part of the transformation is getting this stupid little peg into the shoulder piece. Oh man, that's tight. The final mode we end up with is pretty cool, if not a little bit weird, simply because it's really, really side heavy with the cannon and then the thingy. It is definitely cool, but I don't know. It's not my favorite mode, but I still like the figure. Overall, I really like Super Megatron. I think it is a ton of fun, but there are a massive amount of QC issues I'm seeing out there. The only one that I'm affected by is these hips. They're supposed to be ratcheted, but they're just too loose. And on this smooth table, and with the weight of and the top heaviness of the figure, his legs have a tendency to slide apart. But otherwise, my figure is fine. That's not to say that there aren't other folks out there who are having tons of issues. And I'm seeing that being widely reported, which sucks considering how expensive this figure is. I think it's worth having in your collection, but maybe wait a little bit until Hasbro and Takara can hammer out the problems, or maybe pick it up from an online retailer that's importing it, like HobbyLink Japan or Big Bad Toy Store or The Chosen Prime. That might alleviate some of the issues. I don't know. Overall, I'm happy with my purchase, though. So, let me know what you think of the figure down in the comments. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Be sure to follow me over on Twitter and Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Baltmatrix, and I'll catch you next time.